welcome back to Misha's Corner. So as you guys know, in my previous videos I told you that the Thanksgiving edition is coming up. I did go through my last video and I went across the recipes and dishes that you guys would like for me to make. However, half of them I already did, and I would rather to make dishes and put more effort and time into dishes that I have not yet made on my channel. So therefore, what you're about to see is the sweet potato pie, the apple pie, and the candied yams my way. Now, I did get a request asking to not have marshmallows on the candied yams. Just leave them off. All you have to do is leave them off and you're good to go. If you don't want to cut it the way I cut it however you want to cut it. I'm talking about the candied yams here. Cut your candied yams however you want to cut it, however shape, and use the same exact sauce and cook it in there and you're good to go. So I hope you guys enjoyed these 3 videos. I packed them all in for you guys. And yeah, give me a thumbs up and subscribe and let me know what you think. Bye guys. Hey guys, welcome back to Misha's Corner. Today I'll be making my Ciroc waffle cone sweet potato pie. So let's get started. So I'm just going to go over a few of my ingredients. This is just the filling ingredients except for the waffle cone. The waffle cone is for the crust and well, part of the crust. I have some fresh nutmeg, some fresh ginger. I have cinnamon, vanilla, carnation milk, my Ciroc right there, and my butter. And also welcome to recipe number 2 from the Christmas edition. Alright, so in my mixer I have 3 cones and I'm just going to post it until it becomes like dust. It's probably going to take a minute or 2 to get it all the way down to like dust or like little baby crumbs, like as small as you can get them. Okay, so this is what you're looking for right here. Basically dust, but little small like particles. And you're going to set this to the side, and now we're going to work on the base of the crust. Alright, in my food processor I have my flour, some sugar. Now I'm going to add some salt. Remember, all ingredients will be listed on my website and it will be the link in my description box. Now I'm going to add the waffle cones that we post halfway to death. And then we're also going to add our butter in here. Boom, 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 boom. This is not a healthy recipe, so I'm just letting you guys know ahead of time. And we're going to post this, and what we're looking for is like sandy consistency, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. Remember guys, every single thing that you use needs to be freezing cold, especially your butter. I actually froze my butter when I used it. So, and then I cut it into cubes. Now I'm going to add my Ciroc in here. I'm going to add a whole tablespoon of Ciroc in my crust. And I'm also going to add a couple tablespoons at a time of my ice cold water. So I'm going to start with a couple tablespoons and then post it until it all starts to come together. You don't want a ball, but you want your dough to like really be pasty and come together. Alright, so you see how clumpy it is? Just like that. You don't want a dough ball, but you want it to be like clumpy if you're using a food processor. And now I'm just going to put it out on my countertop, roll it into a ball, and put it in the refrigerator so it can rest for a while. This is what my dough looks like right here. I formed it in like a little disc. All I did was pour it out on the counter and smushed it together and put it in a disc. Now I'm going to wrap this up, put it in the fridge for at least 30 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to work on the filling. Now that everything's nice and whipped up, I'm going to add my melted butter down in here. Again guys, remember all ingredients will be listed below in my description box. I'm also going to add my brown sugar and my white sugar, regular granulated sugar, a dash of salt, and I'm going to let this go for a minute until it all creams together, and then we're going to taste it to make sure the sweetness of the sweet potatoes are on point before we add our eggs. Alright, now it's good to go. Don't forget to scrape down the sides of your bowl guys as your mix is going. Now we're going to spicing this up. We're going to add, well, let me go ahead and add my eggs in. I'm going to go ahead and add my vanilla. I'm going to add my cinnamon. The cinnamon is to taste guys, but I am going to put exactly how much I use. But the cinnamon is for sure to taste. And if you have ground ginger, you can use it. I have fresh, so that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to grate it down in here. But let me grate this and I'll be right back. Alright, so I was able to get a good tablespoon out of that. Now I'm going to grate my nutmeg down in here. Of course, if you have grounded nutmeg, you can for sure use it. But I have fresh, so I'm going to use fresh nutmeg. Again, this is also to taste. I'm going to put it back, pulse it again, and then I'm going to add the last couple of ingredients. And then we're going to put this pie together. Alright, now that all of that is incorporated, now I'm going to add my Ciroc down here. Again, this is totally up to your discretion. I'm putting the amount that I want down in there. That's my mango flavored Ciroc. And then now I'm also going to go in here with my carnation milk. And I'm going to let this all mix together and combine. I'm going to clean up and then we're going to roll this dough out and put it together. Alright, so I rolled out my dough and I put it into my pie pan. Now I'm just going to take this right here is 1 egg and some cold water that I've beaten together. And we're just going to brush the edges. If you're more artistic and more familiar with baking and pastry, then you can for sure make your edges nice and pretty. But you guys know I don't bake, so I did the best I could with my pie. But I did make up for it with flavor and texture, so I think I get a pass for that, right? Okay. And you're just going to brush your pies with this egg wash. This is going to help with color as well as sealing your dough as it bakes with your sweet potato pie filling. So you just brush the whole thing. Not so much the bottom, but mostly like the edges. You want them to brown up nice and beautiful. You're going to preheat your oven to 325 degrees. We're going to bake this for about 40 minutes and we're going to check it. If it's not done, then we're going to let it keep going to an hour, which is another 20 minutes. I'm going to take my pie filling and pour it down in here. Get it all down in here. I wish I had smell-o-vision because this pie smells amazing. Between the Ciroc and all those spices we put in here, the fresh spices, it smells amazing. So I'm going to scrape this all out and I'm going to pop this in the oven and I'll show you guys what it looks like once it's nice and done. Oh yeah, and that's not even the last of it. We have another step to go. This is what the pie looks like fresh out the oven. Now I'm going to allow it to cool all the way down to room temperature. And then we're going to work on the Ciroc whipped cream. Alright, so now I'm going to make the whipped cream topping for our pie. I'm going to add my heavy cream in here. And I'm going to put my sugar. You don't have to put Ciroc in your whipped cream. You can make a plain whipped cream. That's totally fine. The Ciroc is optional, but for myself, I'm going to make some Ciroc. Make sure everything's cold. Your bowl needs to be cold. Your heavy cream needs to be cold. Your whisk. You're gonna mix this until it fluffs up and give you stiff peaks. Okay, so halfway through mixing, I'm gonna add my Ciroc down in here. Maybe just a couple tablespoons of Ciroc. And I'm also gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla down in here. And that's pretty much it. So I'm just going to keep mixing for a couple more seconds until it's really stiff. Because you see how it looks now. It's not that stiff yet. And then that's it. So this is what the pie looks like. I put the whipped cream on top. And then I sprinkled on some more of my waffle cones all over the pie. I mean all over the whipped cream and on the plate. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. This pie is super delicious. I'm happy I made it this way. The cone gives it like a crunch and an extra slight bit of flavor into the crust. And yeah, so style candy yams. However, I'm going to be making them Hasselback style. And I switched up one of the spices that you would usually put on your southern candy yams. Also, this is video number 2 to my Christmas edition. So yeah, let's get started. So the point of Hasselback is to get thin slices across your potato. That's going to create ridges. That'll be able to trap the sauce and the nuts and the sugar and the marshmallows. So yeah, what I do is I take my knife and I just go across like this. There's plenty of YouTube videos that really go in depth explaining easier way to do it. But I'm going to show you how I do it that works for me. So by the time you slide your knife over, it has like the perfect cut. Do not go all the way through the potato. You're just trying to go like 3/4 of the way. because you need the base to stay intact. I'm only explaining because I know there are people that have never done this before, but for those who have, you can skip this part. I made all my slices, so this is kind of what you end up with. You see all those ridges, but I'm not all the way through. So now I'm going to brush these with some oil. This is just to help make the salt and pepper stick. Pepper and salt. 375, about 40 minutes. Make sure you check it every 20 minutes, so you don't want to burn this, because remember, we still have to put the brown sugar glaze on here. So yeah, my potatoes are almost done, so now I'm going to work on the glaze for the potatoes. So I'm going to start with, in my pot so far I have 4 tablespoons of butter. Then I'm going to add 1/4 cup of regular sugar and 1/4 cup of brown sugar. To this I'm also going to add 1/4 teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice. Then I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Down in there. You really want to spice this up. I'm also going to put 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 cup of chopped pecans down in here. Bring this all to a boil on the stove, stir it up, and that's it. So my potato is like, you know, it's almost there, but you don't want to cook it all the way exactly, because you still have to keep cooking it after you add the glaze. So I'm just going to go on here with a spoon first. It's gonna be messy, guys, so make sure you do it on your parchment. So these are what they look like. You're gonna put them back in your oven for about 10 minutes. After that, we're gonna start adding the marshmallows on top. Please make sure you cut your oven down to 300. Like, you need to cut your oven all the way back, because you do not want to burn these. So yeah, 10 minutes, put the marshmallows, another 5 minutes, and then that'll be it. This is why it's so important to put like a ton of that sauce on the potato, because as it cooks, it's gonna like melt away. So you're just gonna scoop it back up with all that delicious sauce and just pour it all over. Look at that. Yes. Now, as if we don't already have enough sugar, we're gonna start adding the marshmallows on here. Don't do marshmallow overkill, because you just want like little spots of white hanging here and there. Mostly for presentation purposes. But yeah, put it back in the oven 5 minutes and that'll be it. This is what the potato looks like. It's super moist, super soft. The marshmallows melted all the way down in there. You can see the pecans, you can see the brown sugar sauce. Like, oh my god, this potato is so good, it's ridiculous. As you can see, it's only one on the plate because I had to try the other one. So, today I'm going to be making my apple Ciroc apple pie. So yeah, let's get started. I want to talk a little bit about ingredients before I get started. I'm using both Granny Smith and I don't know what this is called, but it's a regular apple, and a lemon, butter. You're gonna use a lot of butter in this recipe because I am making a Ciroc butter crust. I'm not making the traditional apple pie, pie crust. So yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. I'm also going to be making a whipped cream to go on top and a caramel. So yeah, now let's get going on the crust. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the crust for my pie. I'm going to go in here with 2.5 cups of flour, but I'm going to add half of it first. Then I'm going to go in here with all my butter. This is 2 sticks of butter, frozen, rock solid hard, that I diced up really small. Then you're going to go in here with a tablespoon of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, not too much. The rest of your flour. I think I need to invest into a bigger food processor because clearly this one is too small. And some lemon zest. This is optional. It's a little trick one of my mentors taught me to do, so that's why I'm going to do it. Maybe a teaspoon or so, not too much. Do not do lemon overkill in your crust. And now I'm going to pulse this. You're going to do short pulses until the butter breaks up. Remember, everything needs to be cold. Your water needs to be ice cold. Your blades need to be cold. Your butter needs to be rock solid, hard. And yeah. So now I'm going to pulse it. So I don't have a very expensive camera yet, so you can't really see what's going on, but it does look really sand-like wet sand. So now we're going to move on from there. So now I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of ice cold water. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm also going to add 3 tablespoons of my Ciroc. I'm making a mess. 1, 2, 3. This time the pulses should be a little longer because you want everything to come together. After every 30 seconds, because we're only going to pulse this for 1 minute, you're going to scrape down the sides, make sure everything is incorporated, and then we're going to move on from there. So this is how my dough came together somewhat. Clearly it's not going to be a hard ball, because you have to turn this out onto your counterwork surface, form a ball, wrap it in plastic wrap, and put it in a refrigerator for at least 30 minutes. So I'm going to wrap mine up in some plastic wrap and let it chill out in the fridge until we're ready to use it. I peeled and chopped my apples. I did cubes, like medium-sized cubes. You can do whatever shape you want to use. You don't have to go this route. So now we're going to season this up. So I'm going to go in here with about 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, a 1/4 cup of regular sugar. If you want to add more sugar, that's on you. I don't want it too sweet, but if you want to add more sugar, cut back on sugar, you could definitely do that. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of ginger down in here, a good heaping 1.5 teaspoons. Then I'm going to go in here with a 1/4 cup of my Ciroc down in there. For non-alcoholic drinkers, the alcohol is going to cook off, so you don't have to worry about, oh, am I going to get drunk or intoxicated eating this pie. That's definitely not going to happen, so don't worry about it. It will definitely cook off and the flavor will be left behind. Then you're going to zest a lemon in here. You're also going to need the juice, so it's probably going to end up with about 1.5 teaspoons of lemon zest. And then also to this, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of flour. Sprinkle it all down in there. Add the juice of your lemon and then mix this up. So I rolled out my dough and I already have the first layer in my pan. I didn't take the edges off yet because I want to crimp them with the top layer. So now I'm going to roll out the second layer of my dough. Now I'm going to take my fork and just poke like little holes in the bottom all over. And then I'm going to take my pie filling and just start filling it in there. My filling is probably enough for 2 pies. I'm going to see. You don't want to overfill your pies. And make sure you get some of that juice down in there. Even it out. And now I'm going to apply the top layer. Got my pie covered up. I'm going to keep this pretty simple. I'm not doing any type of crazy designs. All I'm going to do is crimp my edges with a fork. That's all I'm doing to this pie. The excess dough that I have, I'll probably make a design out of that and put it on top of the pie, which I'll show you guys in a second. But as far as the edges, all I'm doing is crimping. It doesn't have to be perfect. Once it bakes up, it'll be nice and good. And you can start rolling out the excess dough like I have over there. I'm going to roll all that out and make maybe some circles or something to put on top of the pie. This pie already has a lot going on. Doesn't need any help. So now that I have my pie crimped, I'm going to brush it with egg wash. All I have in my bowl here is 1 whole egg, 1 egg yolk, and some water. Like a couple tablespoons of water. You're just going to brush the entire pie with your egg wash. Then I'm going to take the little cutout circles that I made. These little baby cutout circles with my piping bag tips. And I'm just going to put them all around my pie list like this. This is optional, you don't have to do it. I had extra dough and I don't want to waste it, so this is why I'm doing that. Well, let me show you what I'm going to do to the top. You're just going to make a slit. I'm going to make a cross right through the top of my pie. You need somewhere for the air to escape from your pie, so I'm doing an X, just like that. Now you're going to put your pie into a 375-degree oven for about 40 minutes. 30 to 45 minutes, I'm sorry. And make sure you check it in between that time. And that'll be it for the apple pie. So I know y'all done seen me make like caramel 100 times, but I'm going to show you again this time because I'm actually going to add Ciroc in here. So in my pot I have 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of heavy cream and 2 tablespoons of my Ciroc. Put this on the stove, bring it to a boil, let it reduce till it gets thick, and that's going to go over the caramel. At the end, I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of vanilla and some salt to this. Yeah, and I'm also going to make some whipped cream, but you can store by yours. It's optional, you don't have to get it, but yeah. So this is what my pie looks like with the whipped cream on top. Now I'm just going to drizzle on my caramel that I heated up earlier. No particular way, just drizzle it on there. By the way, I tasted the pie. It's the best pie I've ever had. I'm not even gonna lie. The Ciroc, you definitely taste it. Not the alcohol, but the flavors. You definitely taste the flavor of the Ciroc and the caramel. It's delicious. It's just really, really good. So this is what the apple pie looks like. All I did was put that Ciroc caramel all over. I put a little mint leaf right there just for presentation purposes and my pictures for Instagram. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time on my next video, which will be number 6. Okay, bye.